Greetings and welcome to a special edition of The Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Nile, and I am bringing you this video to talk about the WNBA because I'm looking at an article right now about rule changes that have been announced for the 2013 season. I'll put a link to the article in the description, so if you want to read it yourself, you can. And me personally, I'm just going to read the article over and discuss it with you out loud. I'm just going to look at each topic that they bring up and talk about, maybe why I think they might have done this and what the potential effects could possibly be. And all the while, there's going to be some soothing music in the background so it doesn't get boring. I understand that some of you are just auditory people and need to hear things, so if you're too lazy to go and read the article, you get to listen to me singing it. Me reading it. So here we go. WNBA announces rule changes for the 2013 season. New York, December 13, 2012. The WNBA will implement new rules regarding flopping and defensive 3 seconds while also extending the three-point line. Chief of Basketball Operations and Player Relations Renee Brown announced today following the league's Board of Governors meeting. The rules will go into effect beginning with the 2013 season. Flops that are intended to mislead referees into calling undeserved fouls or fool fans into believing a foul call was missed are a detriment to the game, Brown said. With that, both the Board of Governors and the Competition Committee feel strongly that a player who, upon video review by the league, is believed to have committed a flop will, after initial warning, be given an automatic penalty. Flopping will be defined as any physical act that, upon review, reasonably appears to have been intended to cause the referees to call a foul on another player. The primary factor in determining if a player committed a flop is whether her physical reaction to an action by another player, whether or not that action resulted in contact, is inconsistent with what would reasonably be expected given the force, direction, or nature of the action of the other player. An example would be a player who lunges, flails, or falls following minimal contact or non-existent contact with an opponent. Physical acts that constitute legitimate basketball plays, such as moving to a spot in order to draw an offensive foul, and minor physical reactions to contact will not be treated as flops. During preseason games, warnings will be given for acts judged to be flops. Any player who is determined to have committed a flop during the regular season will, upon the first offense, receive a warning. Subsequent violations will result in fines of increasing amounts, beginning with the 6th violation. A player will be subject to further increase and fine and suspensions. The league will announce at a later date a separate set of penalties for flopping that will apply during the playoffs. Now, I believe that they do this for the exact same reason that the NBA did it. People are tired of seeing guys flopping around. I think it doesn't happen as much in the WNBA as it does in the NBA, but still, yeah, it's kind of something you really don't want to see in the game. That's what I like the WNBA better, because you don't see people flop like you do in the NBA. In the NBA, it's just ridiculous. Guys all the way over here, and then suddenly just like, whoa, he pushed me. I don't think that happens as much in the WNBA. I can't say it never happens, but I actually like the rule. It's good. The only thing is, how do you determine a flop? Because there are some people out there who just don't have a lot of muscles and they just can't take a hit. But I do think it is a good rule, and it's just making sure that the enforcement of it is done properly. Anyways, we're on to the next rule, which is that the three-point line will be extended from 20 feet 6 1/4 inches to 22 feet 1 3/4 inches, consistent with the distance inherent in all FIBA competitions. We extended the line to its current distance of 20 feet 6 1/4 inches in 2004, and our three-point shooting percentage increased, said Brown. Since then, the talent level and the athleticism of our players has only continued to increase, and with a significant percentage of our players also playing and excelling internationally, this brings us into line with the international game. The extended three-point line and defensive 3-second rule will create spacing and open up the lane. The improved spacing will create increased opportunities for athletic players to drive to the basket and either shoot or pass the ball back out to open players on the perimeter. Under the new defensive 3-second rule, a violation will result in a technical foul being assessed if a defensive player violates the actively guarding guidelines. Following the free throw for the technical foul, the offense will maintain possession of the ball at the free throw line extended. Slight changes also have been made with regard to the use of instant replay as it pertains to the flagrant fouls in the restricted area. Whereas previous rules allowed for replay review of flagrant foul 2s but not flagrant foul 1s, the level of the foul will now be assigned only after the play has been reviewed. Replay procedures are also being instituted during the final minute of regulation and overtime if officials determine the offensive player committed the illegal contact but are uncertain as to whether the defender was inside or outside the restricted area. I love all of this. Moving the 3-point line out and adding the defensive 3-second violation, that's only going to add to the level of competition that you see. It opens it up to a whole new world. You're gonna have people are gonna have to try a little harder, which is great because these girls can do that much more. I mean, you're already seeing people hit from 24 feet anyways. I like it because it puts us on an even more even kill. I mean, because in WNBA, no other sport is compared to their male counterpart more than WNBA right now. You look at all these other leagues out there, there are female football leagues, but every single one of them, none of them, you really compare them to the NBA. You're just everyone's just talking about the fact that girls can actually hit. No one cares if they're hitting as hard as guys. They're just like, oh, there's girls playing football. How good for them. And then you have like women's soccer. I mean, I think that gets more attention than men's soccer. At least in America, it does. I mean, the only American soccer players that I know about are Hope Solo and Ronaldo. I don't actually. Is Ronaldo American? No, I don't think he's American. Anyways, wasn't there that one person? Landon Donovan. That's what I was thinking of. Anyways, but yeah, I think it's a great rule change. It adds to the level of competition, and as for the replays, I always love the use of replay. You know, I understand that one side of the argument. People are like, well, it's gonna slow the game down, but I'd rather you slow the game down and get the call right than to just completely fuck it all up and have it over 10 minutes sooner. So I have absolutely no problem with any of these rules these rule changes. And so, if you want to read the article yourself, like I said, the link's gonna be in the description. I tried my best to read it. I'm sorry, I'm not at my best. My voice is a little harsh, my mouth's a little dry, but I saw this article. I felt that you deserved to hear about it for those who do follow the WNBA. It's gonna be a fun season. I look forward to watching it with you. I still have no idea how I'm going to schedule it. I could make a segment of NBA Weekly and a segment of WNBA Weekly. I mean, it's going to be during the off season, so I won't be doing reflections from the NFL. So there might be like an NBA Weekly, WNBA Weekly, NFL Weekly. I don't know, though. It's not going to be till in May that I start doing episodes again. So we'll see how that happens. Anyways, until then, yeah, happy Saturday. Hope you enjoy yourself. What player do you think your team should draft? Who's going to go first overall? Are the Phoenix Mercury going to be in the championship? I think they are. I mean, Diana Taurasi, they drafted Semi P last year. They've already got Bonner and now first overall draft pick. I think it's going to be impossible for them not to find their way to the championship.